welcome to another edition of Front Row Roundtable Show presented by Ralphie's. Thanks for being here. I'm Norm Waymer. This is Big John Melkowski. This is Marty Bin, and we're ready to go.
All right, so I have several gripes this week, and we're going to go right off schedule. What order do you want them? Do you want the football gripe, the baseball gripe, or the baseball, I'm glad as a Tiger fan the season's over, period to the end of the season?
Well, we're going to talk a lot of football, so start with the baseball, and we'll work from there.
All right, I'm glad the Tiger season's over, because it's very hard for me to stay interested when it's this bad. And second, I've been wanting to talk about this for months. What is the deal with Japanese pitchers and their health? Help me with this.
What do you want to know?
You can't give them the kind of money people keep giving them because they just don't pan out, right? The hitters maybe, pitchers not so much. Until one proves me wrong. Is there one that's worth the money?
It's a totally different system over here. I mean, over there they pitch 1 day a week. They have their 1 day a week. They throw all the time. It's totally opposite from what guys do over here.
Well, worth the money is a loaded question.
Okay, relatively speaking.
Because many would say none of them are worth the money.
Okay, compared to the alternatives as a major league franchise. I mean, because to me it's bust. I mean, what is Yu Darvish doing for the Cubs in the playoffs?
Probably pitching relief would be my guess.
Or watching.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
probably checking to see if the meatballs are still hot in the serving tray at the suite.
Yes. Do you have any edamame? I mean, is that the call coming from the dugout or the bullpen? I mean, I just don't. I mean, for as good as he was as a hitter this year, and as good as he was in limited appearances as a pitcher, Ohtani and all the early season hype ends up with the same result as happens so often.
But they pretty much knew that. They knew he had elbow problems before they even signed him.
But why do people keep giving this much money to that problem over and over again?
But for what they signed him for, it was worth the gamble.
Right.
Because he didn't get one of those. I mean, Daisuke Matsuzaka, it cost the Red Sox $100 million when they signed him. Between what they gave him plus the fee to even negotiate with him. So $100 million is a lot different than the $4 million that it cost the Angels to sign Ohtani. But I mean, yeah, and Ohtani was great early, but and I don't know if they may have even known this was going to happen. Well, okay, we'll use him until his elbow dies, and then we still have him as a hitter, and then because he just had Tommy John this past week already, so
he'll be able to hit next year.
If he can still hit next year while rehabbing the pitching, and I don't know if you can do. I don't know.
They're saying they're going to DH him next year.
Yeah, then it's probably worth the money because then in 2020 you got a fully functional Shohei Ohtani again.
Hideo Nomo is probably the best Japanese pitcher, or pitcher that performed the best.
Definitely stuck around was effective the longest.
I mean, you wonder Darvish, when Darvish is healthy, which doesn't seem to be very often, he can be very, very good.
When healthy, I mean, we can say that about a lot of athletes in a lot of sports. When healthy, that's great. But if you can't stay on the field, what difference does it make?
After that, the list goes downhill pretty quickly. This list that I'm looking at, which had Koji Uehara, Tomooka, and then Daisuke Matsuzaka, which I don't really necessarily like that order.
It sounds like you're ordering at a sushi restaurant.
Don't get some Tomooka on your way home.
Don't get me thrown off the air, okay?
I'm not. I'm just saying. I didn't even know those names. That's what I'm saying. For all I know, that could have been a role.
I think Kei Sasaki probably was the next best pitcher. He was as a reliever.
He just didn't stick around very long.
Right. He didn't stick around.
But he did not get hurt. He just went back to Japan.
Fair enough.
I mean, he came over. I think he was 32 when he first came over.
Right.
Won Rookie of the Year. Was dominant for a while, and then just went back to Japan. He didn't really get hurt, but he just wasn't here that long.
Anybody else?
And I think Hasagawa's pitched pretty well, but he came over a little late too.
Right.
Right. So the jury's out? Because I think the jury's in, and I think it's just risky, and don't do it.
Well, I would tend to agree. I mean, I think it's. I think for what they're worth or for what they're getting, nobody has really proven that they're worth it in the long run.
But see, you don't have to trade anybody to get them. That's kind of why they'll pony up the money. That's how much money these teams have laying around. Some of these teams have tens of millions of dollars laying. See, I can't even say it either. Just laying around.
Just burning a hole in your
Can't
pocket.
comprehend.
Laying around.
Well, we don't have anything else to
Do
do.
you think,
Let's spend $50 million on somebody that might pitch 10 games.
You think the Steinbrenner family is going to eat ramen if they,
Whiff on a pitching prospect? All right, fine. I still say it's not worth the money, but
Well, but you don't see the small market teams doing this. It's the Angels, the Red Sox, the Yankees, it seems like that are doing this. It's not. I don't think you've ever seen the Indians sign a Japanese import.
not one that's made a majors.
Or if they do, it's a very low.
But to me, it's different. Positional players have been relatively successful. It's the pitching and something that happens to the arms over there. And I think, I mean, we didn't talk about this earlier, but I really think it's almost a lesson to Little League managers and Little League coaches everywhere of things not to do as young people or you're developing them. Because if we're saying the wear and tear on the arms is the problem, we use this as a lesson. It just doesn't transpose later into success.
Yeah, but I don't like that either because Julio Urias from the Dodgers, he came over from Mexico, signed at 16 with the Dodgers. They didn't let him throw 100 innings in a season until he was 20 years old. He still had shoulder surgery and missed a year and a half. I think it's just the way the body works. You don't know who's going to break down. I mean, Nolan Ryan threw thousands of pitches for 27 years and never had problems.
And the pitchers who never make it to the majors, you just never hear about them.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, and there is a lot of overuse. I know, especially in Japan, they have a high school baseball tournament that's the biggest tournament in the nation. And there's stories about guys pitching 200 pitches in an outing, 250 pitches. I mean, that happens, but it doesn't matter how much you baby a guy or how much you have a guy throw, because Leo Mazzoni from the Braves, that was one of his big tenets. He wanted his pitchers to throw every day. Not necessarily pitch. Don't go out of mound and throw sliders, but just go out and throw every day. Work that arm.
That was Johnny Sane too, who was one of the best. Of course, we all know the spot in Sane and Pray for Rain, but he was also one of the best pitching coaches ever. He had a bunch of 20-game winners with the Yankees. He was the Tigers pitching coach in '68 when McLean won 31, and he went on to the White Sox. They had Wilbur Wood and Tom Bradley and some other guys. So.
Well, but throwing every day is different than pitching all the time.
Correct.
I mean, to me, there's no connection between getting your arm loose, keeping your body loose, working on your core, and snapping off pitches.
But a lot of these guys don't do that. A lot of these guys, it's, I throw on Tuesday, Wednesday I don't do anything, Thursday I go out and throw a bullpen, Friday I don't do anything, and then you pitch again. These guys aren't out there throwing every day like he had.
The one thing, too, from Dan Plesac, too, I saw this on MLB Network, where when your front heel lands, your landing foot, if your arm is not above parallel with the ground, you have a much higher risk of blowing out the elbow.
Yeah, check a Tim Lincecum delivery out anytime.
And I think that's part of the trying to pitch with a stiff front leg and get, downhill instead of being a drop and drive guy.
And I was going to say, I mean, now there's not a lot of drop and drive guys around. I mean, you look at Nolan Ryan and Tom Seaver and those guys. I mean, Tom Seaver, when he was done pitching, his knee would actually be dirt from rubbing on the dirt because he would drop down so far to get the push off the mound. Yeah. Now they all want you to be high, come over the top, get the downward angle on the ball. And that puts a lot more stress on your arm.
But Ohtani, in my opinion, they should make him that multi-inning reliever guy. That's what they should do with it.
Unfortunately, it looks like the whole sport is going to that.
That's a whole nother discussion. All right, let's take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll start.
Thank you for buzzkilling at the end of the session.
We'll let Marty rant on some football when we come back. It's from our Roundtable show presented by Ralphie's.
Bring yourself to Ralphie's. Yeah, it's that good.
At Ralphie's, it's primetime football every Sunday, Monday, and Thursday nights. Enjoy endless wings starting at 8 p.m. each night and carry-out specials every day. Plus special pricing on all Labatt products, plus new craft and IPAs for the fall. As always, beer buckets only $10 Friday and Saturday.
Bring yourself to Ralphie's. Yeah, it's that good.
Mortgage Marty here. We hear every day here at Fairway how tight the housing market is, how there's just so few great homes out there. And I want to remind everybody we have a fantastic suite of renovation products. They are basically designed where you can buy a house, borrow extra money over and above the sale price, get contractors lined up, and we pay them after closing. So the work is done after closing. You get to pick who you're going to use, and you can buy that house, fix it up, and create what you want. with as tight as the market is right now, in fact, I have probably a half a dozen customers who are to the point where they're so frustrated they're about to give up. So just think renovation loan.
Red Wing Shoes, a quality built to last, just like the legacy of service at your Red Wing Shoes dealer, North Reynolds at Bancroft in Toledo. Family owned and operated since 1982. 4 generations building a legacy of quality and service for years to come. Our sales staff has over 95 years selling and servicing Red Wing shoe products, and we have the largest selection of Red Wing shoes in Northwest Ohio. Irish Setter, Works, and our USA-made heritage shoes. In stock, no waiting. Red Wing Shoes, North Reynolds at Bancroft, where service, quality, and fit come first.
And back we are in the Fervor Roundtable show presented by Ralphie's. And don't forget, there's all-you-can-eat wing specials at Ralphie's for the primetime games, Sunday night, Monday night, Thursday nights. Check it out at Ralphie's. I'll be there tomorrow watching the games. All right, it's Marty Ben rant day.
Well, so the thing I'm really thankful to the NFL for.
Are we keeping you up here?
Well, no,
it's kind of late.
I'm rubbing my head
it's
because
after 11. I understand.
Because I think I now know in the NFL what's a catch, which I thought I always knew, but no one in the NFL seemed to know, and I don't have to live through these 10-minute reviews where no one knows until they finally come out from under the hood and then tell you whether it was a catch or not a catch. But what I didn't realize is it was a 2-for-1 special where when they told us we would know what a catch is, we no longer have any idea what a clean tackle or a legal tackle is that doesn't get you a penalty, and no one knows what holding is anymore. So I'm not sure that was a great trade-off. I almost think I want to go back to not knowing what was a catch because it was easier to watch those games because it's painful right now.
I'm the wrong guy to ask on the holding penalty because I'm a Raiders fan, and all I know about holding penalties is my team gets them and everybody else's doesn't.
Well, that's a different problem.
Well, and the other thing, they said they're going to change the helmet rule now, but in that game Monday night, Kareem Hunt just bulldozed a guy with the crown of his helmet and nothing happened.
Yeah,
I thought they were supposed to call it both ways. They said they were going to call it on offensive.
Why
players.
is it that the longer they have instant replay, the worse it gets? It's not supposed to work that way.
It is hard to watch games sometimes when this stuff goes on because it's like, guys, it can't take 6 minutes to do that when all of us at home get 2 high-def reviews and can figure it out when the announcer's calling it before you see the review because the guy in his ear who's in the production studio's got it. It's not that hard.
Because I was watching one of the tiebreaker games on Monday, and they had a play at first base, and the umpire called him out when they reran it. You could clearly see that the runner beat the throw to the bag because actually the pitcher was covering, and the runner beat the pitcher to the bag. Wasn't by much, but he did. And then they review it, and they upheld the call. It's like, well, what's the point then?
Right.
And we see it in the NFL too.
That happens all the time. I mean, clear and conclusive evidence kind of doesn't ring true for this. Isn't the same for everybody, I don't think.
I was going to make a political analogy, but I was afraid Norton would stab me with a pen, so I will be very quiet.
I'm not going to stab you with a pen. Just send your cards and letters to Marty Ben, care of Hallmark Mortgage, in the Promenade Shops on Monroe Street.
Or Fairway.
What did I say? What did I say?
You can send the complaints to Hallmark Mortgage, but send the praise to Fairway Mortgage. It's completely.
I got to write that down because I can't remember anymore.
Stop it. But here's
Fairway Mortgage.
But what's a clean tackle?
Fairway Mortgage. In the Promenade Shops on
It's
Monroe
gotten
Street.
completely ridiculous.
Well, and now this last week.
What was your analogy? We went through all that trouble for the analogy.
Well, you don't have to. You're not innocent until proven guilty anymore, and there doesn't need to be clear evidence. I mean, those are the things I'm convinced of.
Wow.
You can be guilty until proven innocent.
In a trial.
In all ways that matter.
In a trial.
I'm not sure. I don't know. I haven't been to trial, and I don't want. And
What everybody's arguing about
I
is
do
not a
not
trial,
want to go. I'm not arguing that. That's a whole different stupid problem. Admit you were an idiot when you were a kid. None of this happens.
Yeah, pretty
Never
much.
mind.
But now,
maybe not everything, but most everything.
Well, I'm saying is a little fuzzy, stupid. I was. I mean, that'd be my defense. Anyways,
We're all a little fuzzy, stupid at times. So
I might be right now. You wouldn't even know it.
not touching that at all.
well, Clay Matthews, who obviously doesn't know what a legal tackle is,
Back to football.
get the train back on the track here.
Thank you.
He actually pulled up this weekend and didn't tackle the guy because he didn't want to get the penalty. I don't know what you're supposed to do.
It's unwatchable, is it not? And did you? I mean, the Browns' early whistle thing. I've watched a replay on that. I don't know how do you whistle. I mean, what's going on?
Happened in the Raiders. Yeah, the Raiders game with Lynch. It happened too. Marshawn Lynch, who generally takes 3-4 guys to bring him down anyway, and he was still fighting and churning, and they blew the whistle, and he never got stopped.
Well, I was watching the junior NFL league game between the Cowboys and the Lions, and Dak basically goes to do a spin move because the pocket collapses like it has a lot this year, and bumps into his own guy, or maybe gets touched by a Lion defender. No one can really tell at the time, and falls on the ground, and then thinks about it for a second, and then jumps back up, and then a Lion guy comes and bumps him as the whistle's blowing. Now, why the whistle was blowing is still a mystery to me, because if you're going to blow it when he's laying there on the ground. Don't blow it a second half later. He gets up, and then the guy kind of hits him, and then starts to pull up as he hits him, and then the Cowboys get 15, and I thought, well, that's a very nice gift that I still don't understand, because to me, he should have just blown him up, because the whistle didn't blow, and the old play to the whistle, apparently that's not a rule anymore either.
Well,
it's play until the whistle should have blown. You have to anticipate the whistle now.
Well, and you had people complaining Monday night, supposedly the Chiefs took too long and, they should have had to delay a game. Oh, I mean, they snapped it within like half a second of the clock hitting zero.
Right.
If you're going to start adding that to the list of things you can replay, you're just getting ridiculous.
They never do it as soon as it gets to zero.
Well, no.
It's always like a count.
Well, they even say the
zero,
the judge who's the official who's watches the clock. When it hits zero, then he looks at the ball. If it's not snapped, then he throws the flag. So basically, it's an extra second, probably.
Well, and the argument that I've always heard is that clock is not the official clock, anyways. The official clock is on the field.
Well, and if that's if that's the case, why even have the clock in the stadium?
So all of us can be more confused about what the rules are.
Why not go back to high school where the official goes 5, 4, and counts down on his hands?
The same reason they have the yellow line on the field, I suppose. Which is not really the first down line. It's just where
Yes.
It's indicative of where the first down line might be.
Do you like it where they take the 10-yard, where it's 1st and 10, and they'll show you the 2 lines, line of scrimmage, and then the yellow line for a first down?
No,
and then
I know where the line of scrimmage
area in between, they make the grass greener. It's like, do we really need that part?
Well, it's even better because you get late in games when a field goal matters, and then you also get the approximate area where you need to advance the ball to a field goal. It's like, I've never seen a field with that many different lines and shades and whatever
Pretty
else.
soon we're going to have Peter Puck at the glow ball. Like we had the glow puck.
But I mean, to me, it's hard to watch some of these games. And holding to me, I just don't know anymore.
You know what I'd like to see more often, though, is them to use that camera that's behind the quarterback. The one that they string up, which started with Vince McMahon in the XFL. I'd love to see it. I'd love to watch some more of that.
Vince just had the cameraman running on the field in pads. He didn't have it strung up
on the system.
Well, because actually he wanted somebody to do that, and their normal guy that they do for wrestling, and he's like. They did. There's a guy that's kind of like likes to get like in the middle of the action and all that, and they were going to hire somebody to do it, but they wanted more money, and Vince goes, "No, my guy will do it." Well, he didn't.
I wouldn't either. Guys flying around at full speed. I'll tell you what. If you ever officiated even a Pee-wee game with when they have helmets and pads, like a 10-year-old game. It's brutal being out
if you've ever been on the sidelines of an NFL game, you can't believe how fast it is on the field. Yeah. It's ridiculous. All right, let's get another timeout in here, and we will look at week number 5 coming up in the next segment. You're watching the Front Row Roundtable show presented by Ralphie's.
Bring yourself to Ralphie's. Yeah, it's that good.
At Ralphie's, it's primetime football every Sunday, Monday, and Thursday nights. Enjoy endless wings starting at 8 p.m. each night and carry-out specials every day. Plus special pricing on all Labatt products, plus new craft and IPAs for the fall. As always, beer buckets only $10 Friday and Saturday.
Bring yourself to Ralphie's. Yeah, it's that good.
Mortgage Marty here. We hear every day here at Fairway how tight the housing market is, how there's just so few great homes out there. And I want to remind everybody, we have a fantastic suite of renovation products. They are basically designed where you can buy a house, borrow extra money over and above the sale price, get contractors lined up, and we pay them after closing. So the work is done after closing. You get to pick who you're going to use, and you can buy that house, fix it up, and create what you want. With as tight as the market is right now, in fact, I have probably a half a dozen customers who are to the point where they're so frustrated they're about to give up. So just think renovation loan.
It's October Obsession as Powerbomb Wrestling is back in action in Toledo on Sunday, October 28th at 5 p.m. St. Clements Hall, 2990 Tremainsville Road. 2 huge steel cage matches headline the card. A triple threat match for the heavyweight title and also a steel cage match decides the tag team championship. Get your advanced discount tickets right now at pbwexcitement.com. It's Sunday, October the 28th at St. Clements Hall, Powerbomb Wrestling. All right, welcome back for our Roundtable show presented by Ralphie's. Norm Waymer, Big John Malkowski, Marty Bin, who's from Fairway Mortgage. All right, it's so rare that I get a prediction right on something.
Okay.
But I said last week about New England, how they were, 27-1 in their last 28 at home in the division. Yep. Don't worry about them until we see how they do against Miami, and they pretty much stomped the Dolphins.
Pretty much. The Dolphins are still trying to figure out what had happened. That's how bad they got hit.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't bet football, but that probably would have been the safest one in a while.
Vegas had them as a 7-point favorite,
right.
And they could have given them more than that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the only thing bad for me is I had their defense, and the shutout got ruined really late. So I was a little salty about that part. But
well, it was one of the games. Was it the Phoenix game, the Arizona game, where they missed an extra point at the end?
Yes.
Yeah.
And didn't cover because they missed the extra point. That's why you don't bet on games, people. There's a reason why all those casinos got built.
So can I ask an important question? 4 weeks in, can't we say that half the NFL teams should start playing for draft picks now and tanking? Is it fair to say that after 4 weeks we can tell who has a chance and who doesn't?
You can't do that. You can't.
I just did.
Well, no, because in the NFL, a team can look atrocious one week, and I mean, look at the Bills.
At
but
1 and 3, you're not out.
Okay, but the Bills aren't making the playoffs, and if they do, they're not going anywhere. The Browns.
But how do you take?
Lions.
Do you tell your players, go out and
The Cowboys are 2-2, and I'm playing. I'm hoping they play for draft
Everybody's
picks.
still playing for a contract. You can't tell your guys not to play hard.
Well, no, it's like Mark Cuban said. You just play the wrong guys more. You
want people to show up and watch your games.
I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm just saying, I mean, I've already looked at a lot of the teams because I've, for whatever reason, watched more different teams' games early this year than I normally do. And I'm shocked at how bad half the NFL is.
That's because Dallas keeps playing at prime time. That's why.
I know, and they're awful, and everybody they play's on.
This week, tomorrow night, they're in the Houston Sunday night game, yeah.
Another team that's not making the playoffs, and if they do, they're not going anywhere.
But what do you do? Do you set a record? Because Pittsburgh's 1-2-1, and I'm sure they still think they should be a playoff team.
No, I'm saying Pittsburgh, maybe you could hold out a little bit of hope because
they have the same record as the Browns.
And maybe they could figure, but
and they tied the Browns. So aren't they just about as good?
With 6 turnovers. Yeah, I'll wager whatever you'd like on the future.
Who finishes ahead of who?
Who finishes ahead of who, and who might make a playoff run. You can weigh on either side.
There's a Twitter page, Old Takes Exposed, which is just flat out freaking awesome.
Yep.
And every wrong thing and the one that they were hot on the other day was all the people that were criticizing the Chiefs for taking Mahomes instead of Deshaun Watson.
Yes.
What a horrible pick that was, and how they're going to live to regret it.
Well, and Alex Smith has his best year. How can Andy Reid part ways with him and whatever else? Who remembers that right now unless you're just trying to rub it in that guy's nose?
Andy Reid can judge talent.
Yeah.
That's why he wins. He's very good at judging talent.
He doesn't win the big one, but he wins a lot.
Well, that's not necessarily his strong suit. Is the adjustments late in the game in the playoffs.
No, a system, talent, getting the ball. I mean, they spread the ball around. They do crazy good things.
Well, and that's what he did. He totally revamped the entire offensive system to do what Mahomes does.
And now they can do what they did last Monday night, which is come from behind late in the game.
Right.
And that was something really Alex Smith wasn't really good at, or they weren't really equipped for him. He's not a downfield thrower. And Mahomes obviously could throw it,
from any angle, from any spot, including left-handed on the run.
Yes.
So them and the Rams are the only undefeated teams at 4-0.
And the Chiefs' defense will keep them from going very far.
When do we say they become the favorites for the Super Bowl?
I don't know if the Chiefs
for the Chiefs to be the favorite, Tom Brady has to break his leg.
Well,
Blake Bortles has to keep playing.
Well, New England looks awfully human.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying, but
They didn't lose the Lions after all.
All I'm going to say is this. If you're asking me whether the Chiefs and that defense against Brady in the playoffs, assuming they met anywhere, including Arrowhead in the playoffs, that you'd favored the Chiefs, I might take your money right now on that bet.
Well, what about Baltimore? Baltimore's 3-1, and they're
Great
actually,
defense, and Joe
they're
Flacco's
actually
still the
doing
quarterback.
something that other teams are not doing, play defense.
Correct. But Joe Flacco's still their quarterback.
So I say don't, but they won a Super Bowl with Joe Flacco.
Has a Super Bowl.
I know. Ray Lewis, Joe Flacco. Yes, that was the Ray Lewis Super Bowl. I remember.
More than Tony Romo.
Continue. Sometimes I feel like I walk into a door that I know is shut.
Oh, it's right there, too.
Yeah, I know. I did.
Baltimore's at Cleveland. These are among the 1 o'clock games tomorrow.
That'll get ugly.
You were just saying, off air, was it Baltimore as good as Pittsburgh? They got the same record?
No, I brought up the Browns, that they have the same record as the Steelers, but I'm not saying that I didn't. I'm just
here's the thing.
Making a point that you can't just say, okay, any team that only has one win at this point can't win.
But you want what might be ugly in that game. What if the Browns defense actually shows back up? So not the defenseless Browns from last week, but
it could be a 9-6 game.
They gave up 45 to the Raiders.
That's what I'm saying. But let's pretend the Browns from the previous weeks who played
Gruden,
their defense.
who everybody says is the worst coach in NFL history.
Well, not everybody. I haven't said that. You might say that, but I'm not.
No, I haven't said that.
He was good until he spent 10 years out of the league.
Let me get through some of these games. The 1 o'clock games, Baltimore at Cleveland, which will actually be on local TV. Stop. Don't make me stab you.
Yeah, I noticed they're actually advertising.
Miami at Cincinnati, and Cincinnati's played better with their new offensive
Aren't
coordinator.
they still coached by Marvin Lewis and haven't won a playoff game since maybe the time
Atlanta's
the Cowboys
at
won a
Pittsburgh.
playoff
I won't get through this, Marty, if you keep dragging it off the rails.
Take you over.
Denver, the Jets, that's the one nobody cares about. Green Bay's at Detroit. So the Browns will be on one channel and Detroit will be on the other locally. Jacksonville at Kansas City.
Time to mow the grass.
Great matchup. No, that's a great matchup.
No, I'm talking about
kidding?
Browns-Lions on at the same time. That's time to mow the grass.
Are you kidding? That's a great matchup. Among the 4 o'clocks, Minnesota at Philadelphia. I didn't expect Philly would be 2-2 at this point.
That will be interesting.
That feels almost like a desperate game for both teams. For
Rams
different
at
reasons.
Seattle. They have to go on the road. Raiders will lose at LA to the Chargers.
Well, the Chargers don't always win the big games, though.
Well, that is true.
Yeah.
Don't give me hope.
They're the Earl Thomas-less Seahawks.
Then the game tomorrow night, Dallas at Houston.
Maybe America's Got Talent or something.
It's a trap game for the Cowboys.
They're awful. I can't. Zeke Elliott is a talent, and the rest of that offense is awful. It is hard to watch.
And Prescott's as good as Osweiler. So we established that last week.
No, you keep trashing him because he had a decent week last week. So the more you trash him,
Detroit. And then Monday night game, Washington at New Orleans. Big John will try to stay up and watch.
No, I won't.
All right, we got to get out of here
again,
guys. Thanks. Saturday Night Live next. Powerbomb Wrestling coming your way at 2 a.m. You can't catch it, DVR it. You can't do that. Get it on YouTube or fight.tv. And we'll see you next time. Front Row Roundtable Show presented by Ralphie's.